Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to another Monday. My name is Katie, and I am the editor for Christian Home Educators Association of California, also known as CHIA. And I am really excited about what we are going to be sharing with you guys this week in our Tips at 3. This is probably one of the questions that I hear a lot about. And so hopefully this will help all of you guys, especially you new homeschoolers. So this week we're talking about different types of homeschooling. Everybody kind of homeschools in a little bit of a different way. And that's great because we're all so different in the way that we learn and the way that we're able to teach and the way that we operate in our homes. So we're going to talk a little bit about different approaches to homeschooling, different methods. You might hear educational philosophy. That's kind of all the same type of thing. Basically, what type of homeschooler are you? There's things like traditional, Charlotte Mason, unit studies, classical, unschooling, and then there's eclectic, which is kind of a mix of everything. And throughout the week, we're going to talk a little bit about some of those, hearing from different moms who homeschool in those different ways. And just tell you a little bit about that method of homeschooling, and you can see if it's a good fit for you, and maybe get some resources that they use in their homeschooling. So today I'm doing a little bit of an intro first, just a kind of few reminders that when you are just starting out, you want to make sure that you're very careful in how you choose your method of homeschooling. So the first way to do that is to learn about the different types. You can't know which kind you are until you learn about what each one is, the different components of it, what makes it unique. And so hopefully this week, that's what we are going to be able to do for you. So if you tune in all week, we'll kind of walk you through each of those different kinds. And it can take some time to kind of figure that out. And you may like a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and you don't like this about this one, and you really like this part of it, but you really don't agree with that, and that's okay, because it's your personal educational philosophy and how you teach your kids. So you want to make sure that when you are looking at these different methods, you want to consider not only how your kids learn and their personalities, but how you as a parent are going to be able to function and teach your children. I have a daughter who's extremely outgoing, energetic. Unschooling would probably be 100% ideal for her. But that is something that I, who am very type A, organized, all that kind of schedules, things like that, I could not teach as a homeschooling or an unschooling parent. So I'm actually pretty eclectic, but I'll tell you guys more about that on Friday. But so you want to make sure you consider not only your kids, but you as well, because you're having to teach this. And so if it's something that just doesn't work for you, then you want to explore some other options. Adapt if necessary. You can, like I've mentioned, you can take a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Probably most homeschoolers are not purely one type. They usually have a little bit of everything, with maybe one or two larger influences. And the last thing is, don't be afraid to change something if it's not working. If you're like, oh, I really feel like I'm a Charlotte Mason homeschooler, and you get into it and you're like, oh, I am so not a Charlotte Mason homeschooler, that's okay. You can try something else. And that's the great thing about homeschooling, is that we can decide what we want to do, when we want to do it, and when it needs to change if it's not working for us. I'm going to talk a little bit about traditional homeschooling. This is actually the method that we started out with when my daughter was in kindergarten. And traditional homeschooling is basically very similar to what you would find in a public school or just a traditional classroom, so not necessarily public school, but public or private classroom setting. You usually have a workbook or a textbook that your children are working through. There's a teacher guide that guides you through. A lot of times these curriculums can come all in like one big box set where it covers all of your topics, all of your subjects, for the entire grade. It includes all of your readers, all the phonics, all your handwriting, all your math, science, history, sometimes Bible if it's a Bible-based curriculum. So that's really what we're looking at with traditional. It usually also is very teacher-led. So again, the teacher gets up, teaches, student does the work. There are obviously, I'm sorry, my mind just calling up blank. There are obviously like extra activities that you can add in, like if you have a really artsy child, more hands-on, things like that. It's not purely workbooks, but that's kind of the traditional, many of you who attended a traditional school growing up, kind of what you did. Often they're open and go box curriculums, as I mentioned, a structured schedule for you. They'll even spell out, do this on this day, do this on this day, and do this on this day. And so for those starting out, this is a really great place to start, because if you're really unsure, you're like, I don't know how I can teach my kid. I don't think I can do this. This is a great method to start out with, because it really kind of almost tells you step by step what to do. In some cases, it even gives you a script as the teacher to what to say. So that is really helpful. The downside is that sometimes it can be kind of monotonous and boring. A lot of people want to homeschool because they don't like the setup of a traditional classroom setting. And so this doesn't always work for many kids who are being homeschooled, or parents who are choosing to homeschool because they want to kind of break that mold of sitting down and doing a workbook at a desk. Some curriculum, if this is something that you guys are interested in. Curriculum ideas, we have Alpha Omega, BJU Press, Rod and Staff, and Abeka. Those are 4 that I found really quick in searching. So those are, again, curriculums that you probably have a workbook, a teacher book, and you have it for all of your subjects. And you can order, sometimes you can order just pieces of it if you really like the history, but you don't like the math, or whatever subjects you like or don't like. And then you kind of open and go. So again, this is really great for those homeschoolers that are kind of starting out if you're unsure and you kind of need that support from a curriculum. So that's kind of what traditional homeschooling is. If you guys have any questions about traditional homeschooling, go ahead and make a comment in the comments below, and we'll be sure to get back to you guys on that. If you have any more questions about kind of what traditional homeschooling looks like. We actually kind of steered away from it a little bit because we felt that it just wasn't a good fit for us. Again, I mentioned my daughter would probably do really well as an unschooler. So traditional schooling is not really a good fit for her, even though the planner type A personality that I have, it fits really, really well. And I was a teacher for a few years as well. So that style really fit. It was my comfort zone. That's why we went with it to begin with, and then kind of veered away from it as we discovered that didn't quite work for our families. So make sure you guys tune in the rest of the week as we share about all these different types of homeschooling methods and resources that each parent uses in those. Obviously, we're not going to be able to give you guys an exhaustive list. There's so many great resources out there for homeschoolers today, for curriculum, for supplemental things, manipulatives, all of that. So it's going to really depend on what you like, but this kind of gives you a jumping off point. So make sure you guys tune in the rest of the week at 3 o'clock every day right here, and we will see you then. Have a great rest of your day.